Hey, what's going on, tech enthusiasts? Brian here with another exciting video. So, is there a better way we can access our server, especially if we're running a Linux environment? Typically, we're accessing it through SSH. And the answer is yes. We can use SSH keys to access it. This means that we don't have to use passwords. And if you're anything like me, I can typo a password with the best of them. But this also makes it more secure. So, if this is interesting, stay tuned to find out how.
It's black burning tech, we're leveling up. From networking paths to systems we trust. Let's break it down, let's build it back. Together we're learning, right on track.
Alright, welcome back everybody. So, if you're anything like me, you're doing typos all the time, which, let's face it, I think that's every human. So what SSH keys do is it's a cryptographic keys that we generate ourselves, and we don't have to use passwords to log into things as much. So this would let me access my server as long as I have the key and the server has the key, and we'll dive into this on the next slide. But what it does is it adds security, it automates the authentication process, and it makes it passwordless. So I don't have to type the password again because it's already there. All right, so let's get a little bit deeper into this. So how does this actually work? So you have your public key and you have your private key. You generate them both. You can use like PuTTYgen. If you're doing it in Windows, you can build it out in Linux. There's multiple ways to generate keys. But essentially you have your public key, and this is on the server side. And we go ahead and save that there. We keep our private key with us because it's private to us. It's like having your driver's license for your car. You keep that with you. So with both of them together, it makes a digital handshake, and there's mathematical algorithms that make this happen, and that's a whole nother course that you can get into if you want to go that deep in the weeds. But essentially what it does is with your private key you have, when you connect in, you can challenge it with that public key, and as long as the mathematical equation equals to what it should, then it just lets you in. So this is how we can get in without using our password. If you've ever spun up a virtual machine in Azure or AWS, most of the time, and I think they've even removed the spot where you can actually just set a password now, you have to use one of those keys, and typically you can generate your own, or you can use one of the ones that they make, but essentially that's why you have to download that file to get into it. Let's go over kind of why. Why would we do this? One, for me, it's convenient. Like, in some of the places I've worked, we have really strict policies, and it does increase our security because we can have more. We can even make it so you have to have your SSH key and your password if you wanted to. Depends on your environment. And it helps with like the automation, as we can see. Like I said, you can also use it as like a multi-factor. So I have to have my SSH. Let me try that again. I have to have my SSH key, and I have to have my password. So that makes it multi-factor on the server. That's one way to use it. But most commonly you'll just see it so you don't have to type your password. It makes it so much easier for everyone to do this. This is why a lot of organizations switch to this, because it's easy to roll in and out keys. Especially in a Linux environment, say you're using Ansible, you just add it into their home directory on the server, and there you go. If, say, you lose your laptop, I can generate a new key, give you that new key, and then put that new public key on all the servers you need to touch. That's one way we can restrict access down and make it not as difficult. This is a really common approach. Like I said, I've seen this done, and I've even done this in my home lab, most of my back-end servers that I have for around here, because one, I don't have to remember the password. Two, it makes it easier for me, so when I go to SSH into something, I'm already there, and that saves me time. And yes, I care about my security on my home network and on the lab network. It's not the end-all be-all, so I'm not trying to force more, but I know that there's the option I leave on so I can still log in. Say I'm on a computer that doesn't have my private key on it. I can still enter my password and get into it, but I can also use the computer that I use most of the time for like doing this type of content and simply get into it. So how do we actually build this out? It's really quite simple. we generate some keys. One, we save our private key somewhere secure, and then our public keys we go and put on our server. Let's go ahead and do a walkthrough on this so you can see on how actually easy it is. And I'm kind of surprised that not everybody is already doing it, but I think that once people see on how easy it is and how easy it is just to push it to your server, it's not that difficult. All right, hang on 1 second. We'll jump over in the lab and go ahead and show you on how this is done. Okay, so I'm back over in the lab computer. Actually, this is my main computer, but the lab server spun up. I want to show you that I have PuTTY and I can SSH this server. And it always goes to the wrong screen whenever you're trying to record something. But so I'm going to go ahead and click open. So as you guys can see, I can log in. Okay, so no big deal. I can get on that server. I have to type my username and password. Maybe I don't feel like doing it. Maybe I want to make this a little more secure, whatever. So let me go ahead and open up PuTTYgen. And I'm going to show you from a Windows perspective on how to do this. You can generate it using Linux as well. It's just as easy, if not easier, in my opinion. If you're not familiar with it, if you have PuTTY already, this is PuTTYgen. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit for you. So there's no keys installed currently, and it's basic. You can generate different types of keys as long as your system supports it. I'm going to do RSA for now. So I'm going to generate. And now it's telling me to move my mouse around. So what this is doing is this is helping it get the randomness of it. That pure amount of nonsense that I just did. We just generated a key. So typically you can also secure your key with a passphrase for security. That's normally what they prefer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my private key. And then I'm not going to put a passphrase on it because this is a lab, but typically you would. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. And I'm going to say P key. So I know that's what this is. Now this string this right here, the shaw dot all of this is my public key. I don't mind sharing this with you guys. You guys can see this. It's kind of useless without the private key that goes along with it. So this is what we will need to put on the server. So I will SSH back into the server, and then we can put this in there. And then we should be able to log in to that server without entering our password. All right, so I'm already logged onto the Ansible server, and this is my Ansible host node 1. This is basically what I use for sending out different things. So what I'm going to do is I want to create for this user that I'm logged on as, and I want to put this key in there. And I will go ahead and put all of my commands I'm using in the description, so you don't have to remember and try and jot them down, because that's always fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a directory, and then we'll go into our keys file, and I'm going to use Nano. You can use whatever editor you want. What we're going to do is we're going to paste our public key into this box here. So we'll come up here. And I said that because... All right, just Control C. And I could have saved my public key if I needed to, but that's fine. And then click, and then there's my public key. Now I'm going to click Control Z, Y to save, hit Enter, so it saves it. And now we can set the correct permissions so that way we know that it can have access to do it. Chances are you don't have to do this, but it's always best practice to secure stuff when you can. All right, so I entered my commands, and now I'm going to log off the server, and I'm going to open up PuTTY, and I'm going to point my PuTTY session to use that private key that we just created. Okay, so here, let me zoom in. If you've never used this, it's kind of in a weird spot, so it makes sense, but if you don't use it all the time. So SSH, and then we're going under auth, and then credentials. So right here is where you can have it run different commands. You can have it do all sorts of fun stuff if you're doing certificate based. But right here's what we're looking for, is this private key for authentication. So we're going to click on that, and then here's my key. I'll click open. And since my default session does go to the appropriate IP, I'll click open, and then it's going to ask me who am I. And I'm going to enter in my username that I just put that directory in. And just like that, it let me in to my server. But this is a good quick way if you want to generate keys, and then you can have special keys for different things. So maybe you have something that for your general use, but then you have a key that has a pseudo user that you need to have special access to. Or a prime example would be where this is an Ansible host. Having an SSH Keys already set up makes my Ansible environment so much easier. So I hope this has been informative, and I appreciate you for watching. A huge shout out to all of the subscribers and everybody that makes this channel possible. And as every YouTuber says, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and click the like, subscribe, drop a comment, all of the fun. I do truly appreciate it, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. Thank you.